Jamie Siu. Jamie Siu, also known as the breakdancing peacekeeper, is a character in the Street Fighter game series, appearing as the first new character in Street Fighter 6 and serving as a rival to Luke. Jimmy was created in response to the scarcity of drunken fist users in the Street Fighter series. Due to his young age, Takayuki Nakayama wanted to incorporate contemporary culture into him, making Jimmy a breakdancer and a rival to Luke. The drink in Jimmy's teapot is called Yakuto, an herbal tea instead of alcohol. Matsumoto followed suit, describing it as a special drink, and everyone in the room burst into laughter. He was designed to contrast Luke's more muscular physique with a slender one. According to character designer Konami Fujioka, Jimmy was prepared to be the Ken Masters for the new generation of Street Fighter fans. Originally planned to be a police officer in Hong Kong inspired by Jackie Chan and his roles in films like Drunken Master and Police Story, Jimmy became younger later on. His boxing moves were choreographed by a veteran staff member while his breakdance moves were choreographed by a relatively new addition. Jimmy envisions himself as a protector of his hometown, an optimistic and cocky young man who loves fun and thinks highly of himself. However, he shows respect for the elderly, particularly his grandmother Chun-Li, and also Yun and Yang. He enjoys helping others, offering to assist Ken and Yuri in solving their personal problems after defeating them. Jimmy can also be irrational and angry when facing his rival Luke. He admits that Yun and Yang wouldn't approve of such reckless behavior. However, their relationship with Luke remains disdainful, and both are forced to fight each other. He sees his approach to crime and justice as his unique style. Jimmy says about Chun-Li, "It's hard for a guy like me to step forward and tip my hat to a cop," but later states, "Working like ordinary guards is not my style." Despite his strong protection of the Chinese district in Metro City, Jimmy cannot consider it his home, explaining, "In truth, any city I'm in is basically my turf, you know?" Jimmy has described Yun and Yang since childhood as exceptional peacekeepers and legends of the Chinese district, as well as brothers. They have greatly influenced his outlook on life from an early age. After Yun and Yang saved Jimmy from a gang in his youth, he aspired to grow up to be just like them. Jimmy considers this incident a wake-up call. Before this turning point, he used to get into many fights with other delinquent kids in the neighborhood. It seems that Jimmy doesn't place much value on his own life, choosing death over becoming a follower of the gang they saved him from in the end. As an adult, he still holds great esteem for Yun and Yang's opinions and worries about their anger after unnecessary conflicts like his battle with Luke in the arcade mode endings. Yun and Yang are the main reason behind Jimmy's dedication to refining his fighting skills. While Yun and Yang are supposed to be away from the city, or unavailable for some reason, he hopes to protect the city just as they did before. Despite initial speculations online, Jimmy is not directly related to Yun and Yang. In February 2022, details from a leaked post on Reddit about the character roster for Street Fighter 6, unannounced at that time, surfaced. No names were mentioned, only brief descriptions of characters, including one that could closely match Jimmy. Yun and Yang's cousin, wears yellow, uses drunken breakdance fighting style. While the latter traits match the realism of the character, Jimmy states in World Tour to the main character, "I have some friends that I truly respect. No, I'm not related to them or anything like that. They're just friends. You know, their names are Yun and Yang, the Blue Dragon and the White Dragon." Despite no blood relation, Jimmy considers them part of his family. During the World Tour, Jimmy mentioned that his home life is rough after being separated from his parents for most of his youth. His mother was said to be very beautiful, but he can only speculate because she was largely absent during his childhood. He expresses little respect for his businessman father, despite describing him as a tough man. As a child, Jimmy traveled extensively between the United States and China due to his father's work. Eventually, however, his parents grew tired of his wayward behavior and sent him to live with his beloved grandmother in the mountains. A small and cheerful woman, she is a skilled fighter who prepares the herbal drink Jimmy consumes during matches. She taught him his primary fighting style at Zui Quan, and in her words, how to live. Chun-Li, a fighter who greatly respects Jimmy for his skills and reputation, was surprised to learn about the avatar of Chun-Li during the World Tour. She states that Chun-Li is a true master. She recalls her experiences in law enforcement, global travels, and relationships with figures like Yun and Yang. However, Jimmy seems almost shy about the possibility of meeting Chun-Li in person. perhaps intimidated by such a renowned fighter. His victory quote against Chun-Li is unusually polite: "It was an honor. Thanks for helping me train," and the usual banter or self-aggrandizement is noticeably absent. On the other hand, Chun-Li's victory quote challenges Jimmy. "Can you imagine yourself as a peacekeeper, huh? That's okay, but don't neglect your ethics." Luke has been Jimmy's rival since childhood. While both are usually laid back and positive, they strongly clash because they also share a hot-headed temperament. Luke and Jimmy argue and taunt each other over trivial reasons, like accidentally bumping into each other. Luke mocks Jimmy as the pretty boy, while Jimmy refers to Luke as a hunk of meat or the dumb one. However, their rivalry is not malicious, as Luke and Jimmy simply want to respect each other's fighting skills and acknowledge who is better between them. Additionally, Jimmy seems to hold some respect for Luke's fighting prowess, considering him one reason to keep improving himself, not wanting to lose to Luke. This peacekeeping soldier in Chinatown aspires to follow the example set by Yun and Yang, the Dragon Twins. Jimmy, an expert dancer, prioritizes justice and friendship above all else, defending his city with military skill. While walking through Hong Ho Chinatown in Metro City, Jimmy praises his role models, Yun and Yang, stating that even in their absence from Metro City, life continues smoothly. Jimmy introduces himself to the player as the guardian of peace in his hometown, taking care of those looking to cause trouble. A short exchange between Jimmy and a seemingly tense gang member supports his reputation, as Jimmy explains that some people try to stir up trouble, while others simply prove how bad they are. As a result, he is keen on protecting his hometown, even with violence if necessary. While claiming not to be full of himself, Jimmy boasts of his fighting prowess. He explains that he doesn't want to be the strongest, like a kid who seems to be king of the jungle gym, but he trains because he's determined to follow in the footsteps of Yun and Yang. As Jimmy continues his stroll, he accidentally collides with Luke. Luke breaks the tense silence by accusing Jimmy of intentionally bumping into him, sparking Jimmy's anger. The two begin to fight. The match's outcome only escalates the feud between them. Jimmy continues his narrative, noting that he will sometimes encounter someone who makes his blood boil for an inexplicable reason. Despite acknowledging Yun and Yang's supposed disappointment, Jimmy cannot resist the childhood rivalry with someone claiming he can't handle losing to him, in this case, Luke. As the scene concludes by panning toward the sky, Jimmy and Luke continue their heated exchange off-screen, their biting criticisms turning into insults in a schoolyard showdown faintly heard from a distance. Later, a cinematic scene reveals that Luke and Jimmy have been fierce rivals since childhood.